Today we are talking about solving systems using Gaussian elimination. Now this is the key word right here, elimination. Now, to define elimination just means to cancel, to mark off, to get rid of, right? And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting rid of parts of my equations so that way we can just have one equation that just has one variable. Remember with systems of equations, what we have here is I have two equations, both with x and y. Now, take a look at this first equation, 4x plus 8y equals 20. Normally, I can't solve that for just x or just y, but since I have a second equation, maybe we can do something. Well, I know that, of course, this side of my equation, the left side of my equation, equals the right side. And you've been told all of your math career that what you do to one side, you do to the other, and it's going to stay equal, your equation is. Well, if I took this, and if I added these two equations together, it's going to stay true, because if I add this side to this one and this side to this one, those are equal, and so my equation is going to stay equal as well. It's pretty cool. But look what happens when we add these together. Well, we're going to add our x's together. 4x minus 4x is 0. These just cancel. And then we can continue on. 8y plus 2y is 10y. 20 plus a negative 30 is a negative 10. So just like that, I have created a very simple equation that I can solve that just has y. And so to solve this, let's go ahead and do that. Let's divide this side by 10. Let's divide this side by 10. And let's get y equals negative 1. So there you go. We got our first answer. Y equals negative 1. Now, I still have to take one of my original equations and plug y back in for it. So I'm going to take 4x plus 8y equals 20. And instead of having this y here, I'm instead going to plug in this value for y, which is going to be negative 1. Okay, 8 times negative 1 is negative 8, so we're going to have 4x minus 8 equals 20. To solve this then, we're going to add 8 to both sides. It's going to give me 4x equals 28. Divide both sides by 4. And x equals 7. So there we have my x value, we have my y value, we can plug them back in, we can check them, we know we got our answer. All right, so x equals 7, y equals negative 1, so what is the solution? My solution is going to be 7, negative 1, because remember that's a coordinate point on my graph. All right, so this might have been pretty quick for us, but we're going to dive in even deeper. So let's talk about how we eliminate. What do we do to eliminate? To eliminate, you must have two things, okay? All right? You must have the same number and you must have different signs, okay? So look back up here, will you, with me? Look at this, 4x and negative 4x, they were the same number, but one was positive, one was negative. So whenever I added them together, it canceled out. It eliminated. Well, that's what we're going to be trying to do on each and every one of these. Well, let's take a look at number 2. On number 2, I'm going to slow it down a little bit, and I'm going to write my two equations out beside each other to start. So I'm going to write 8x plus y equals negative 16 on one side. And on the other side, I'm going to write negative 3x plus y equals negative 5. So to solve this, we want to cancel them out. And so we're going to look for two that are pretty similar. Well, I see y and y. They both are just one y. But remember, we don't need just the same number. We need the same number and different signs. So I'm going to convert this positive y into a negative y. We're going to try to convert it. But to get a positive y to a negative y, I'm going to need to multiply that by negative 1. But remember, what you do to one side, you do to the other, you do to everything, okay? And since I multiplied by negative 1, I'm also going to need to multiply this guy by negative 1 and multiply this guy by negative 1. So negative 3x times negative 1 is a positive 3x. Negative 5 times negative 1 is a positive 5. Okay? So now look, I have the same number, I have different signs, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it over and I'm going to write it underneath there so that way we can add and eliminate. So I'm going to move this 3x minus y equals 5 over to this other side, and now I'm going to add them. 8x plus 3x is 11x. Y minus y cancels out. It eliminates. Negative 16 plus 5 is negative 11. So we're going to have 11x equals negative 11. To solve, we're going to divide both sides by 11. And we're going to get x equals negative 1. So there's my answer for x. X equals negative 1. But what about y? What is y going to equal? Well, we're going to take one of my original equations again, and we're going to plug x in, and we're going to see what it equals. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to take negative 3x plus y equals negative 5, and I'm going to plug in x there. Instead of having an x right here, we're going to plug in what x is. And so I'm going to plug in a negative 1. All right, so we're going to go negative 3 times negative 1 is a positive 3. Then we can subtract 3 to both sides, and we're going to get y equals negative 8. All right, so x equals negative 1, y equals negative 8. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, let's take a look at our final problem down here. Number 3, we have my two equations. And something I want you to notice from the start here about these two equations is that there's no numbers that match up. Previously, we've always had a number that like matches up with the other one. But this time, we don't. So we're going to be trying to think, what two numbers can I put together to make it work? Well, 3y and 4y, they're kind of close. And they have something in common. I can multiply both of them to get to something else. So let's see here. I could multiply 3y by 4 and get it to 12. So we could change this one to 12y. But remember, if I multiply this by 4, I also need to multiply this by 4 and this by 4. Okay? So then 7x times 4 is 28x. 9 times 4 is 36. Okay, so we got this 3y to 12y. Well, what am I going to need to get this 4y to get it to cancel out with the 12y? Well, it needs to be the same number, different sign. So I need to change this 4y into a negative 12y. To get 4y to a negative 12y, I need to multiply by a negative 3. Same thing goes here. I need to multiply this by a negative 3 and this by a negative 3. So we're going to get 4x times negative 3 is a negative 12x. And negative 4 times negative 3 is a positive 12. So then, I have lined it up. We have a positive 12y, we have a negative 12y, we have x, y, my whole number. So what I can do is I can take this, I can bring it over, and I know when I add, those two things are going to cancel out. So I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to rewrite it negative 12x minus 12y equals positive 12. We can add 28x plus a negative 12x. It's going to be 16x. 12y minus 12y. Hey, look. We're in the clear there. And then 36 plus 12 is going to be 48. And then it's very easy. We have made an equation that only has one variable, and that variable is x. We're going to divide both sides by 16 to find that x. We're going to get x equals 48 divided by 16 is going to be 3. So my x value is going to be 3. Okay, but now that I have this x value, I'm going to take that original equation that I have over on the other side, this 4x plus 4y equals negative 4. We're going to take that value for x, and we're going to plug it in for x right here. So we're going to plug in a 3. So 4 times 3 is 12, so we have 12 plus 4y equals negative 4. To solve this, we're going to subtract 12 to both sides, get 4y equals negative 16, and then to solve, we're going to divide both sides by 4, and y is going to be equal to negative 4. All right, great job, guys. We got my x, we got my y. Now we're just asking the question, what is the sum of x and y? Now remember what sum means. Sum just means addition. So we're asking, what is 3 plus negative 4? That, of course, is negative 1. Okay? That's pretty straightforward. All right, now that we're done with that, let's go ahead and move on to our second page where we have a couple of word problems. Now I'm going to help you set these up, and then we're going to solve them pretty quickly. So first, number 4, there are two mystery numbers. We're just going to call them x and y. The sum of 4 times the first number, so the sum means the addition of 4 times the first number plus 2 times the second number equals 12. Okay, there's one equation. Here's my other one. The sum of 3 times the first number and 2 times the second number equals 8. So then we can find what my two mystery numbers are. So we're going to take this, move it over here, but first I need to change this positive 2y into a negative 2y. So it'll cancel out with that positive 2y. So if I change this to a negative, this one's also going to be a negative, and this one's going to be a negative as well. So we move it over, and we're going to get negative 3x minus 2y equals negative 8. We're going to add these together. The y's are going to cancel. 4x minus 3x is x. 12 minus 8 is 4. Just like that, we have solved for what my first number is. My first number is 4. That was easy. But now let's take that x equals 4, plug it back into my original equation. So I'm going to write 3 times, and instead of having an x right there, I'm going to write 4. So I'm going to go 3 times 4 plus 2y equals 8. 3 times 4 is, of course, 12. And minus 12 to both sides, and get 2y equals negative 4. So, because 8 minus 12 is negative 4, then we can divide both sides by 2, and y is going to equal negative 2. So my first number equals 4. My second number equals negative 2. All right, guys, setting up those word problems, setting it up is the hard part. Solving it should be the easy part, but we're going to set up one last one so we can get all the practice we can get here. So let's take a look here at number 5. So number 5, a landscaping company placed 2 orders with the nursery. The first order was for 13 bushes and 4 trees. Okay, so that's going to be 13 bushes and 4 trees. And that totaled $487. Wow. The second order was for 6 bushes and 2 trees. And that totaled $232. What were the costs of 1 bush and 1 tree? All right, guys, to start off, I don't have any numbers that match up. but I do have ones that are close. 4t and 2t are close. I could multiply this 2t by 2 to get to 4. But remember, we don't want just the same number. We want the same with different signs. We want one positive and one negative. So I need to change this 2t to be a negative 4t. So to get that there, I need to multiply by a negative 2, right? Well, if I multiply that by negative 2, I need to multiply this by negative 2, and that's going to make a negative 12b. And I also need to multiply this by a negative 2, and that's going to make a negative 464. Okay, but now I have these two that match up, so I can bring this whole thing over to this side, and I can rewrite it underneath it. I can write negative 12b minus 4t equals negative 464. And we can add these two together. 13b plus negative 12b is 1b. Hey, these two cancel out. And on the end, 487 minus 464 is going to give me 23. So each bush is going to cost $23. Well, we now know what a bush costs. Let's find out what the trees cost. So let's plug in that 23 in for this. So let's go 6 times 23 plus 2 times t equals 232. All right, 6 times 23. Let's see here. That's going to be 138. Okay, and then, so we have 138 plus 2t equals 232. I'm going to subtract both sides by 138. Bring that over here, okay? And so that's going to leave me with, what is that, 94? Let's change colors. So I have 2t equals 94. Divide both sides by 2, and t is going to equal 94 divided by 3 is going to be 47. So each bush is going to equal $23. Each tree is going to equal $47. All right, guys. Like I said, setting it up is the hard part, but we just have to remember, line it up with the same number, different sign, line up your x's, your y's, and your whole numbers, add them all up, and you should be able to eliminate one and be able to solve from there. All right, guys. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks.